Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
What's up, man? It's Will in New York. So just to comment a little bit, and I guess maybe it's a little bit of a question as well for you. You basically tied this back to PJ's earlier point about the Bundys already winning in the court of public opinion. And that's what's happening with this. And there is no real media that exists. We talked about that before. It's something like 70% of things on Fox that you hear are complete lies, and then like 60% of the things on CNN are complete lies. They're all corporately owned.
Right.
So in America, our criminal justice system moves at a snail's pace, but our media comes at us a mile a minute.
Yeah.
So do you think that this problem of public opinion is something that can even be solved unless there's a complete overhaul to the criminal justice system to where we're actually getting to these cases faster than what they're being
actually, I think
reported,
that would be,
or that we just get the spin out?
I think that would be worse for the criminal justice system. I think it should be as tedious as it is, because if we make it any faster, then it would be acquiescing. It would be submitting to public opinion, and really, I think we have a knee-jerk reaction to cases. Some cases, I'll throw out this fig leaf to just moderation, right? Some of these police cases aren't incidents of police brutality. Some of the people that the police have killed over the last year needed to be killed, maybe one or two of them. But there's so many other cases where they should be taken to trial. And what happens is we have such a knee-jerk reaction to every single case because, like you said, the media is coming at us at a mile a minute, 10 miles a minute, that we are going to do a disservice to justice because we're trying to make it go faster for public opinion. And that's going to lead to a lot of problems down the road. What needs to happen is people need to just take a step back and let a person get to trial. Now, if a person's not going to trial, we have a problem that we need to protest for. If Bill Cosby had an accuser who wasn't in the statute, who was not outside of the statute of limitations, and we could not get him to trial, then we need to shut something down because that's not right. That's not justice. And so what I'm saying is, as messed up as our justice system is, we can't use public opinion to invalidate it and to try to find some other type of justice just because we disagree with the outcome. We have to take the good with the bad and then use public opinion to change the system. And I think that's the biggest thing we need to do. We don't need public opinion to make O.J. Simpson guilty 20 years later. We need public opinion to make sure that people who are poor can have the same type of vigorous defense as people as rich as O.J. Simpson. But we seem to be so obsessed with using public opinion to be punitive against individuals when it's so much more powerful to change the system. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the point I just made in the chat room. The problem is the corruption in politics and the media, and the only way to solve this problem is to fix that problem. And I'm actually agreeing with everything you're saying, because it is such a hot, fervent issue right now. In a year when it does eventually end up going to trial or whenever, it's going to be on people's, not on their radar anymore.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Right. So, thanks for the call, Will, as usual.
Thank you.
All right. And to be sure, I have to state this again because people don't understand that you can defend. Here's another example. I'll just throw this out here. This was before I started my show. I still to this day defend Donald Sterling's right to be a bigot in his home. But we set a precedent in 2014 that in the privacy of your home, if you say something in the privacy of your home and it gets made public, that you should be punished with all the full force as if you said it publicly. That's not progressive. That's not progressive. That's mob rule. That's something is contrary to public opinion and what's acceptable in the political fray. And so we use public opinion to be punitive, to punish an individual because we're caught in a circumstance that we disagree with an individual. When we need to use public opinion to change the system, Do you notice how public opinion is very solidly mobilized to be angry against somebody, but when it comes time to actually change the system that empowers that somebody, people don't even show up? And Patrick Blanc in the chat room is saying, no, these are two different things. He says that it was institutional racism and infallibility of police that caused the lack of justice. That's really not the case. That's not, you would be missing the forest for the trees if you didn't see the master stroke of public opinion spinning. Listen, I cannot stress to you enough how much solidarity there was between the Saturday Michael Brown was killed and the Friday when they released this video. They hired somebody who taught them how to play this game masterfully. And I'm talking about Ferguson and Michael Brown. They released that video on a Friday. That split public opinion into the standard camps. Before that, there was 100%, 90% solidarity between all the media outlets about what was happening in Ferguson. Look at the reporting from Fox News during that week. It was not until they used that video to portray him as a monstrous thug that public opinion was divided. These people who serve on grand juries, they are just as susceptible to public opinion as anyone else. They went before a grand jury of people. If they had not played that video, which had nothing to do with the actual shooting, Darren Wilson would be on trial right now. You control so much of America through public opinion. And yes, there's institutional racism, but there is the infallibility of police. But when you have incidents like that, where the nation was on the same page for 7 days, they had to break that, or else Darren Wilson would be in jail right now today. Let me read a couple more other questions. I'm sure there's a lot of people disagree with me tonight. Sadly, yes, Ben. But then we argue about the racial makeup of the jury. Yes, that's a part of the picture, but I do feel like public opinion may have made police infallible. Thank you, Will. Absolutely. Will Cahill said in the chat room, public opinion made police infallible. There's an opinion on Spreaker. This whole issue about public opinion is what I was bothering with you about Hillary apologizing to Trump. Neither of us likes Hillary or wanted her to apologize, but you seem too gung-ho to oppose Trump that you seem to be okay with her saying a lie and not being called out on it. From a political perspective, from not allowing them to control the national narrative, without being on the defense, without putting someone who they feel is progressive on the defense, and by virtue of that, putting everyone who's progressive on the defense. From a purely political perspective, absolutely. It's Hillary Clinton being tried for something? Not yet. If she does, then let the wheels of justice run its course. But in terms of apologizing to Donald Trump, still, no, don't apologize to Donald Trump until he apologizes, until every conservative apologizes for every lie that they have told, period. Different. And I'm not going to say it's a different thing. I would say that it's qualitatively different, but it wasn't about public opinion. It's purely about political positioning and being on the defensive against someone who is far more guilty than you are. And conservatism, when conservatism apologizes, then every progressive needs to apologize for whatever they've lied about. All right, let me just read a couple more over here in Spreaker. This whole issue, hang on. Okay, I think that's it. Let's get a couple more over here. In Michael Brown case, it went away. It's not about her apologizing. It's about her telling a lie. We shouldn't be okay with that. And I'm not saying you should have to be okay. I think, thank you for saying that, PJ, because this is the thing. I'm not saying that anyone should be okay with Bill Cosby. I didn't say that you should be okay with Hillary Clinton. I'm not saying that you should defend any of them. What I'm saying is that in the case of Bill Cosby, it is a matter of being careful with public opinion because it has been used against us so many times. And we get satisfied with getting somebody individually instead of changing the system. It becomes about getting that individual instead of about getting the system. So I'm not saying defend Hillary Clinton as a person, or no, I'm not saying for you to be okay with her. I'm not saying that you have to love her, like her, or support her. What I'm saying is that until they apologize, I see no political strategic reason for anyone to ever apologize to conservatives for saying a half-truth, a pants on fire, or all the above. Should we be okay with it? That's for your personal decision to decide. We already read that. Agreed, Ben. It wasn't about an international manipulation of public opinion by the state. It's the different from the public reaching a general consensus organically. Listen, I'm not against the public consensus. I am, you know what I am against? Because it's done to us. And when I say us, I mean blacks, I mean progressives, I mean to people who have been marginalized. What I am against is doing anything that's going to embolden the very same system that abuses us. And public opinion is a monstrous institution that has always been used to oppress marginalized groups through history. A lot of the reason that marriage equality is just now a reality is because they had to fight a public opinion battle for decades, because it was always easy, even now today, for people to make gays and lesbians out to be pedophiles and to be monstrous people. You know, so it's this, when we use that same system, of public opinion to abuse people that we disagree with, we are empowering it to abuse us, because we are traditionally the victims of public opinion. We being marginalized religious groups, marginalized sexual orientations, marginalized races, ethnicities, all of us.